Hey guys, what's going on? It's your big dreamer and doer, G Dinero, coming to you today with another TA Tuesday. This time it's Tuesday, November 25th, and most of our favorites are starting to trickle back up again. And today we'll talk about, is this a dead cat bounce? Is it the bottom? Is it a bottom? Should we be concerned? What are some of the things that I'm looking at right now? But remember, none of this is tax, financial, legal, investment advice. It's your buddy G Dinero helping you increase your financial literacy to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. And before we dig in, special thank you. There were a lot of comments on the video last week. I guess because with the markets tanking hard, people needed some reassurance. This week, I bet this one gets watched a lot too, but people saying these updates are a must. A great video as always. Very well done. The options course is amazing. Learn so much. Always look forward to your videos. Keep repeating the wisdom, even if it sounds repetitive. We need it. See you at the Lady Traders Club. Yes, I got invited to come in as a guest speaker. It was me and like 60 or 70 ladies on the line. It was awesome. I've been anxiously awaiting Tuesday so I can learn and get understanding of what's going on. Excited to join your community. That was Mama Black. I didn't even mention these. Xanthax, Carol Sorensen, Bull and Bear Saul, CCJ56, Mama Black 7, David Costigan, thank God for the voice of reason. Thanks, G. Rusted Woods, I do the same with BTC. My kids will get it someday for STRC. If I had some cash and bought more yesterday at 93, now I'm heavy into STRC. Nice to always have extra cash. Also, I handle STRC like you do. I was glad to see you raid the piggy bank every once in a while if needed. Thanks again for building your community. Great to be in the Cool Kids Club. Absolutely, Rusty. You're welcome. You're one of the true founding members. So Sandra said so true. Just said yesterday that buying is easy. Selling is hard. That's why she's joining the community. A bit of consensus and help. Thanks, G. Great info. Barty Rubble Trouble. Great video as always. I look forward to Tuesdays and always helps keep me grounded. And lastly, Quantum Queso Powers. Bro, how is this type of education even legal? So good, or too good. He said that about the AMA, the Ask Me Anything video that we did for the group. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and dig right into the charts. As always, we're going to start with the Bitcoin TABI model, but you're going to see something a little different. I pulled up the economic calendar. The economic calendar is in the lower right-hand corner, so I'm going to go ahead and close that and then reopen it. You see the little calendar icon here? Click on that. I have mine set to only items of high importance and global, right? So yesterday, the business climate over in Germany came out. Today, we have the PPI month over month. That's the producers index. I forget what the first P stands for. I just blanked. But the PPI is the producers index. Retail sales model, right? How are retail sales? How are the retail sales doing month over month, right? And you guys got to remember, take all this data with a grain of salt because the government was shut down for almost 2 months, for like a month and a half. So how accurate is the data really going to be? I think it's a joke that they're even trying to put some out because nobody was working on the data for 45 days. So they're pretty much flying blind. But anyway, if you believe in it, there's building permits coming out, durable goods is coming out, and then some of the other things happening around the world. But those are the big ones here in the U.S. PPI retail sales and building permits and durable goods. You find that over here in the calendar icon on the right. So I've updated the Bitcoin TABI model. It remains light orange, even with this massive dump, to show you that the colors that you see from TABI are not always indicative of what's going on with the price. It's more of what's going on with the network itself than the price, right? There's a lot of factors that go into it. There's MVRVZ. There's all kinds of things that go into it. In fact, I need to double click, and what you'll see is you'll see the Meyer multiple, MVRVZ, historical volatility pop in. I like to track those separately, all of which are very low and very weak right now. The only one that's got a little bit of a bump is historical volatility from the lull that we had at the end of the summer. Basically, at the end of the summer, there was no volatility. Right now, there's a little bit starting to come back in, but nowhere near historical norms, which are way up here, you know, going up into the hundreds, 150s. We're down here in the like 30 to 40 zone right now, which is nothing for this model. Now, you'll see I updated the short-term holder cost basis and the true market mean. The true market mean continues to trickle upwards, right now sitting just below 82,000. And the short-term holder cost basis has dropped from 113,000 a few weeks ago down to under $105,000 right now, showing you that the vast majority of short-term holders have capitulated. What does that mean? They sold the bottom. They bought high and sold low. Bought high, transferred those coins to others like myself in that 80 to 85, 90 range. I'll gladly take a coin from somebody at 85 when they purchased it at 125, right? They lose $40,000 on the coin, and I'm looking at it as if we only go back to the all-time high, I've made $40,000. I hope that part makes sense. That's probably one of the most important things I'll say today. Most people buy high and sell low when they panic. They follow the emotions. They follow the greed in the markets and buy because they think they're going to get rich. When the markets don't cooperate, they buy into the fear and they sell. That's the most important thing I'll say. I don't even have to look at the rest of the charts, but we will. So that's where we have the short-term holder cost base. And right now we're sitting around $87,500, $88,000. Now, something interesting that I learned, I forgot I had put this on here, and I wished I would have been paying more attention to it. This will probably be one of the most impactful things I show you with Bitcoin today, okay? I'm going to switch this to a week, which means all of a sudden we're going to get rid of and lose the Bitcoin TABI model. And what's left is this bright yellow channel that I drew here, here, and as soon as we put in a bottom. And what do you notice? We tagged the top of the channel perfectly 1, 2, 3 times. That alone should have been our wake-up call that it was time to sell off some Bitcoin. Again, I can't believe I missed this one. I put it on the chart, but when it's on the daily chart with all the colors and everything else, that yellow line just kind of blends in and I forgot about it. But that's what it came from. I put it on a weekly. I went back and looked at the peak in 2017, the peak in 2021, not the second one, the first one, because that was the first true topping signal. I brought it all the way down to where is the bottom of this modern cycle, and that would help me know where could we get to at the top of the next cycle. And indeed, we got there perfectly 1, 2, 3 times. I'll circle those just so you see what I'm seeing. 1, 2, 3 times. That's a sell signal, guys. That's telling you, look, we may down the road go higher, but it's highly unlikely we're going to break way above this channel. We're going to take a breather before we make another run at it. And again, we had plenty of opportunities for that to happen. But that was something that I just noticed when I was setting up for this week's TA Tuesday. I was like, dang, definitely missed that one. So then we can go in here. We can go on to the daily chart. On the daily chart, what do we see? We see that we pulled back perfectly to the true market mean, exactly where Check on Chain said we would, right? So if you're not following him, go follow James Check from Check on Chain. I subscribe to his newsletter. That gets me his paid videos every week. I get a ton of value out of what that guy talks about when it comes to Bitcoin. So Check, if you're listening, great job, bud. I really, really appreciate what you're doing with your Check on Chain newsletter and your paid subscription. I won't miss it. I just renewed mine for another year. So we pulled back to the true market mean. Now, other things to look at here on the chart. There's still a pretty big gap right here. You'll notice there's a giant gap in volume. We filled it a little bit back here during the tariff tantrum, but that happened when we gapped up at the election. We immediately just jumped over a whole area of volume, which happens to be right at where the true market mean is right now. So that's telling you that the average investor that's actually moving his coins around is right here, right around $81,000 or $82,000. The point of control where the most number of coins have transpired or transacted is down here at 67, almost 68,000. It's this red line that you see me kind of underlining here coming out of the VRVP. It is also the previous all-time high of the last cycle. and where we were for the longest time in 2024 until the election when we bumped up to the next level, right? So the ETFs took us to this $65,000 to $70,000 level, but couldn't get us to the next level. It was the election and the other hype around Bitcoin and the cycles and everything else that took us the rest of the way. I'm building the story here for where could we bottom, right? Is this the bottom or a bottom? And in my opinion, it's a bottom. I think we came down here and tagged the true market mean. We work our way perhaps back up to the line in the sand, try to break above it, but reject off of it to the downside. Come back down to put in a double bottom here at the true market mean with a wicked wick all the way down to like $70,000. Yes, 70 grand. We see it again. Maybe even 65. I don't see us going below that. I just don't see that it's possible because it'll be heavily defended by all these people. People like myself that will jump in there and we back up the truck. We back up the truck at 70,000. At 70,000, I'm going in. That gives me a slightly lower cost basis than Michael Saylor at MicroStrategy, than the ETFs, which is pretty much the retail buyer nowadays for all intents and purposes, and the true market mean. So I'm getting in lower than all of them. Hell yeah, I'm going to do that all day long. I'm going in if we come back and retest this. But that's what I see happening. We waller around and maybe make our way back up here to the line in the sand. We come back down and retest the true market mean. We get a crazy wick down. We come back up, waller at the true market mean a little bit, make our way back up to the 95, and then we start going back off to the races again. All the while, the short-term holder cost basis will keep coming down. It'll be back down to 100 in no time. It's already gone from 113, 114,000 down to under 105 in a few weeks because of how vicious this move was, So let me erase all that. We'll move on to the Bitcoin. And so also looking at some of the other things, we're the most mean reverted we've been in years. We haven't been this mean reverted to the downside since 2022. RSI dropped below 23, guys. It was 22.93. We were looking to get a crossover on MACD. A crossover there is a buying signal. We have the global liquidity like we were talking about that's going down. And it's looking like we're retesting that again. It would be beautiful to see it break out above this purple line that I have with it decreasing down into the right. You can see it a little bit more pronounced if I blow it up. And then we look at during that time period, Bitcoin's also been going down. So it's basically been following Bitcoin going down into the right while global liquidity, I can't draw down there, but global liquidity doing the exact same thing. So on the daily model, over here, the 4-hour model, we're mean reverted down to the downside. We were mean reverted almost 2 standard deviations, at one point over 2 standard deviations. RSI bottomed out at 21.84, super low. MACD crossed over right here, which coincides with the buy signal up in the confluence model. We were out the bottom of the confluence cloud. We had the trend flip. We have a buy signal. We were bouncing on the true market mean. Every single one of these things to me is a buying signal right here. Buying signal right there. You're telling me I can get Bitcoin for under $85,000 when it was just $126,000? Thank you very much. I will take your Bitcoin. And I already told you where the resistances are and what I think is going to happen to the upside. For sake of time, we're going to move on to Solana Bitcoin on the daily chart. We came back down here to this level that we've been bottoming out at right around point 0014, right in that level. That means that is the area to move Bitcoin into Solana if you believe Solana will outperform Bitcoin. It really hasn't. It had this one glimmer of hope right here back in September. But outside of that, the whole last year has almost been a waste with Bitcoin outperforming Solana the entire time. What does it look like, though, when we look at the bigger picture? We've been as high as 0.0047 back here in the last cycle. We dropped to a low of 0.00047. So that's like a 10x to the downside, right? 90% loss of Solana versus Bitcoin. We've regained roughly, not even 50% of the way where we are right now. We're up to 0.0015, and to get halfway, we need to get to 0.00235. So you notice that 0.0025 area has been resistance. That means we've regained half of the way back up to the height that we used to be, but not all the way. What do I anticipate here? Well, we're sitting on great support right here. The only other support we could go down to would be all the way down here, but Solana doesn't deserve to be that low or Bitcoin that high. It just doesn't. So the fact that we're sitting on this clump of volume here and we keep, finding support right here does not surprise me one iota. Where could we go back up to? We'll go back up and retest 0.002 with then a retest of 0.0025 when Solana finally gets recognized for what it's worth, and for when Solana starts to go back towards its all-time highs. Guys, it has dropped from the all-time high back here of 295 all the way down to 120 almost, and is now sitting on 135. So from that previous all-time high back here to where we currently are, we're down 55% almost 55%. So that is a massive drop. And most recently, we're still down 45-50% in this most recent drop. We are almost back up to the point of control. You see the red line that's going across here in this big clump of volume at 140, 145 that we've been talking about for years now. Years, not a year, but years plural. The last 2 years, that's where most coins have transacted. We get to 145. If we get there from the downside, everybody sells off. If we get there from the upside, that's where everybody buys in. That is the premier line of support and resistance. We need to first and foremost regain that, retest it, come back up and retest the 200-day moving average in this clump of volume. Retest that, get above it, retest it, and then off to the races, okay? When? It might be in months. It might be over a year, right? We don't know, but there's too much good coming out, in my opinion, that I can't see Solana going much lower. If it did, it'd go back to 100. It'd pull to 100, and that's it. But from 136, that's not a massive drop, right? I mean, that's like shaving off 30 points or maybe 30% from where we are. But the upside is that we go back up and get back up over 145. That's a 10% gainer, and we get back up here to 180, and that's a 35% gainer, roughly, just trying to do fast math. So that's what I see going on with Solana on the Solana 4-hour. We were mean reverted to the upside. We're slightly mean reverted to the downside. We're slightly mean reverted now, just barely starting to mean revert to the upside. RSI is back to neutral. MACD is back to neutral, and I already told you about the levels. Really, this level is going to present a tough challenge. First, 145 level, and then up here at the where the 200-day, and we just need to regain the 200-day moving average. Ethereum, like I've said, you had your opportunity up at 5,000. Will you have that opportunity ever again? I don't know. I don't like to say never, but I don't anticipate it going back up there anytime soon. Where would be the support level? Support's real strong. If I back this out a little bit and get a little bit longer time period, support looks to be real strong down here in this 2,500 range. You've got the point of control at 2,600. So 2,600, super strong support, which is what we just bounced off of. Where's the resistance going to start at 3,300? 3,300, and then here where the 200-day moving average is, so 33 to 3,500. So buy here, sell here, not financial advice. MicroStrategy, okay, this chart looks like it's crazy, right, with all these squiggly lines on there. By the way, I calculated the MicroStrategy MNAV this morning. The MNAV, I calculated it at 0.90 per my ARB tracker that I've created for myself, so I can look at it in real time and see exactly what it is. That's like buying Bitcoin at a 10% discount or buying Bitcoin at about $74,000. I'll repeat that. Buying MicroStrategy right now at an MNAV of 0.90, that means it's only trading at 90% the value of its Bitcoin holdings. That's not a super big vote of confidence for MicroStrategy. That's when people like me step in and go, wow, this sucker's undervalued. Sure, I'd love to buy Bitcoin at $74,000. That's me and my brain going, if it just goes and trades at an MNAV of 1, which I know it will at some point in its life cycle, MicroStrategy that is, then I'm buying that Bitcoin at a 10% discount because strategy is trading at a 10% discount to the holdings of its Bitcoin. That's what MNAV means, okay? And you can see when it's been this low before, guys, which was right back here in January of 2024, what did it do from January of 2024? Well, in January of 2024, it was at $52 a share. It went to 500 at 10x, 11x, really. It went to 550. So that's an 11x. Now we're back down at those same kind of MNAV levels. People are discounting it. They're counting it out. And I said weeks ago, I think we could come back down to this range, 200, because that was the all-time high for the longest time, and even down to like 170. Why? Because that was the range it traded in before. Where are we? We're right at the top of that range again over here. But this time at an MNAV of 0.9, whereas back here we were at an MNAV of like 2 to 3. So it just seems super undervalued to me. I know the critics, they're going to be worried. They're going to be concerned. There's going to be the fear, the uncertainty, the doubt. What if they don't get listed? What if they get unlisted? What if JP Morgan buries them and everything else? You know what, guys? This is my vote of confidence that there will be a new world order, that there will be a new global reserve currency one day, that what we're doing isn't working. The whole U.S. Treasury thing, the whole Fed, the whole banks creating the money at this point doesn't work. It makes the bankers wealthy. It makes the Fed wealthy. It makes the cartel wealthy, and it crushes the rest of us. Eventually, enough people will see this. They'll freaking buy Bitcoin and we'll be off to the races. But until that happens, go ahead and keep playing it into their hands. Yeah, I get fired up about this because I'm a believer. Is the bottom in? No, it's going down. But look at the mean reversion dot on the daily, guys, and go back and ask yourself, when was the last time it was that low? And you got to go all the way back here to 2022. Near the depths of the bear market was the last time MicroStrategy was that mean reverted to the downside. Prior to that, you got to go all the way back here to COVID. So COVID and the last bear market are the only two times we've been mean reverted this far down on the daily. If we go over onto the 4-hour chart, we've spent most of our time down below the mean. We've had RSI readings as low as, hold please, as low as over here, 21.44, and back here, 21.16. So we're hitting 21 consistently on RSI. MACD is still negative. It hasn't turned up yet. RSI hasn't gotten over 50 since all the way back in late October. And the trend is still down. But the minute this trend flips, and if I believe we're near the middle to bottom part of that zone, remember I said from like 200 down to 170 is the zone. That was the zone we traded in a ton, really down to 150. But the zone we traded in a lot back in 2024 with MicroStrategy, if that's the zone that we've been trading in, then we're kind of near the bottom of that. And it's trading at a 90% discount. Heck, I'll buy some MicroStrategy shares just to sit there and sell aggressive cover calls against to generate a little bit of income, because Lord knows it's still volatile. It goes up and down and up and down. The volatility is back up again. You can see it because it's green right here in the volatility suite. We're not down here doing nothing. We're back to being volatile again. It happens to be volatility to the downside, but there's money to be made when there's volatility if you know how to use options. Tesla came in and filled this gap like we talked about. It had a little bounce recently. We'll see, is that a long-lived bounce or a short-lived bounce? That's probably a bounce with people counting on them lowering the interest rate soon. And the fact that Nvidia, when they reported earnings, their earnings were great when they reported their earnings. But there's still a lot of concern around all the CapEx spending and everything else. And we actually mean reverted to the downside on the daily for the first time on Tesla since back in July. We are right back up to the mean, though, here on RSI, and we're starting to make our way back up again here with the mean reversion tool. So that's letting you know that the market thinks that Tesla is fairly priced right around 420. That's just my way of interpreting that. Same thing here on the 4 hour. We are right back up to the mean again on the 4 hour. If I hover over this very last signal, we're at minus 0.08 to the downside. We will be at 0 by the end of the day, more than likely. RSI is just a click above 50, right? It's at 56, 51. MACD is right back up to neutral. So when you look at all your things, that's the market saying that right here, this level at the top of this gap up box, the same level that's been support. Every time we dropped to 420, it got bought up, bought up, bought up, bought up, bought up until here, where we dropped below it. Then it became resistance, resistance, resistance. So 420, that's the line in the sand right now, guys. We get above it, we should start looking back up at 440, 450, 460 again. We reject off of it, we're going right back down to 400 and maybe even dropping down to 380, down to 360, like I've talked about for weeks now, okay? That's what's going on with Tesla, in my opinion. Nvidia dropped. It reported great earnings, and it had a little spike and then a drop, and that's what happens after earnings. People are like, really, why? It just does, right? You could have the best earnings here. They beat by 3 to 4% on their earnings, and despite that, it dropped right afterwards. We are finding support right around this point of control that we've been on for the last few months, which is 180. I've said over and over again, if you can buy below 180, I believe, and you have no Nvidia, that's a place to start nibbling. How far could it go down? I said it could go all the way down to 150. Do I believe that? Not really, not with all the tailwinds they have going on right now, but that's like worst case scenario. And anything near 170 is a steal, in my opinion. And 180 and below, I'm nibbling. Anything above 180, I'm not. I might look to shave or take profits up at 200 or above. I might hedge my position there. Same thing when you look over here at the 4-hour chart on Nvidia. Same thing, same line of point of control is there. The thing's been there for months, guys. more shares transacted here at 181 than at any other level since the tariff tantrum. That means people didn't buy as many shares down here in the 100 range as they're buying up there. They think that Nvidia looks better at 180 than it looked at like at 80 to 100. Let that sink in for a moment, guys. That's what I'm talking about when people are buying high and selling low. People capitulated back here, and then all of a sudden the tariff tantrum resolves and this sucker goes on a tear, and they're like, oh snap, I don't have enough Nvidia, so they bought back in up here. I don't know. Riddle me why they do that. I don't know. But we are mean reverted to the downside. We are, RSI is below 50. Buying signals on the chart right now, in my opinion. How much? I wouldn't YOLO in, but I would certainly take a nibble if I didn't have any Nvidia. Not financial advice, just friendly advice. Same thing with Palantir. Palantir went on this ripper, guys, over the last couple years. It's crazy. It's gone from 18 to 200. That's like a 12x. It's done a 12x. And then it took a breather, clear cut sell signal here on the chart, and it pulled all the way back to 160. And now it's sitting perfectly on the 61.8% fib level. Wow, how fibs work out like that, right? That's taking it from the low here of the tariff tantrum to the all-time high that we just had, and we retraced back down and sitting on the 61.8% fib level. Here it is on the 4-hour chart, sitting on that same level. You can see where that was resistance back here. Then it became support. It became support. Now we're like kind of waffling along it. What do I anticipate? I anticipate us going back up and taking another run at the 50-day moving average, which is at 180. I don't see us just jumping right to 220 again, though. There's not a catalyst to do that. That was on the excitement coming out of earnings that we had that pop. And then a sell-off after earnings. So good earnings, sell off afterwards. Everybody wants to trade earnings thinking they're going to get wealthy if they come out with the great earnings. That doesn't usually happen, unfortunately, guys. I'm just saying. So we're mean reverted to the downside. We're near the bottom of the confluence cloud right here. We almost wicked out of it. We don't have an actual buy signal, but the cool thing is we're starting to turn back up again. And to me, anything 170 and below right now is a definite buy. Anything 180 and below would be a nibble if you had absolutely no Palantir. And I'm not a buyer above 180 because there's no reason to do so. There's no reason to do so because you have an opportunity to do so lower right now. If I come over to everybody's favorite over here, the MicroStrategy Tesla pair, on the MicroStrategy Tesla pair, it bottomed over here at 0.42. Keeps going down. If we were to put it on a daily, the daily looks even uglier. It's just screaming down. But we were mean reverted, and this is starting to come back up again. So you'll notice that we're starting to get a little stronger on this pair while it's going down. That's a bullish divergence, oftentimes resulting in a flip. So we may have finally put the bottom in when we basically hit this low right here. So we were still at 0.7. And we've drifted lower despite the fact that the move is starting to lose steam is what I'm trying to say by that. If you have no MicroStrategy and you believe in my thesis that it may come back and it will come back rocking and rolling, then put a little bit of your Tesla over into MicroStrategy and be happy that it outperformed it. If not, if you're like, man, I think this is going to keep going down. I think Tesla is going to go to the moon and I don't think MicroStrategy is going to do very well over the next 6 to 12 months, then I would just stay in your Tesla and don't even worry about trading the pair, right? People have given me a lot of grief about this pair, but the way that I've used it over time, the only time that I really messed up, I would say, is I could have taken more of my MicroStrategy and transferred it over to Tesla, but I did it so I'd have about a 50-50 bag. Now my Tesla bag is bigger than my MicroStrategy bag, and I swapped some of it back when we were at 1-to-1, and I should have waited until we were lower. I would have gotten even more. So yeah, I could have done better, but I've got both. I believe in both. I use options heavily in both, and I generate income and thus the ability to buy more shares. So I could sell covered calls right now on my Tesla, never sell a single share, and use the money from the sale of covered calls to do what? Buy more MicroStrategy shares, which is what? That's a pair trade. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take my Understanding Options course and join the community, and you guys will be trading like an options ninja, as I call it. Over here, the MicroStrategy IBIT, you can see I transferred some IBIT into MicroStrategy up there. That wasn't the smartest thing, but it was only 100 IBIT, 18 MicroStrategy. At the time, it was, just a tiny portion of my bag. Could I do more of that right now? Absolutely, especially if I thought that MicroStrategy would outperform IBIT. But I'm not doing that right now. I'm keeping an equal amount of both just to kind of play it safe. I've been adding to my IBIT stash lately, again, through selling covered calls on MicroStrategy. So sell covered calls on MicroStrategy, buy more IBIT. Then when the time is right, sell the IBIT and turn around and buy more MicroStrategy. Is all that being done in a tax-free account or tax-deferred account? Yes, it's being done in an IRA predominantly. Gold, I forgot to throw this in there last week, but we had two clear sell signals right here with sell-offs afterwards. Now it's climbing back up again. That's uncertainty in the market, guys. That's the market saying, you know what? We think the dollar is going to continue devaluing like a champ, and we want to put our money into a good store of value. Gold's never going to be the one that shoots up and does a 10x in your portfolio, but it's the one that's steady Eddie that keeps your portfolio balanced when all of your high flyers are taking a dump, basically. Excuse my language. Rotation model has just been firing off. It fired Palantir, Tesla, Palantir. I'm already in Palantir, so again, like I told you guys, I've ignored the rest of these signals. I'm not really doing a whole heck of a lot with the rotation model anymore. It's not my primary model. I use IADSS. I just included it in here because I've been including it in the video. And finally, the S's. Oh my God, what's happening? Why is STRC off peg? Why did it drop all the way down to 89? By the way, that's an 11% drop. People are more worried about the 11% drop in STRC than they are the 40 to 50% drops in all the crap that they're in their accounts. That was the funny thing this last week for me. I don't mean to belittle it, but guys, Bitcoin tanked, MicroStrategy tanked, the confidence in MicroStrategy went down, and all the FUD came out. Are they going to be able to pay their dividends? Are they going to be able to pay their preferreds? And all the preferreds got hammered as a result. It was all based on sentiment. Now what happened? We're right back up to 96 again with STRC. We're 4% off of PEG. 4%. That's it. And he'll probably raise the rate. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't put, just to throw it out there, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't raise it from 10 and a half up to 10 3/4. STRF dropped below 100 for the first time in ages. Guys, when I first bought STRF, I bought it below 100 way back here. Sold it up here into STRC when it was below 100. Now you had your opportunity to buy STRF again. But if you bought into the FUD, you didn't. You sit there and you sell all your MicroStrategy at the bottom. You capitulate just like everybody else. And now you're looking back going, should I buy the preferreds? I do every week. I probably bought another $5,000 to $10,000 worth of STRC just last week. And this week, sorry. Yesterday was Monday. I was doing it yesterday too. I think I picked up like another 30 or 40 shares yesterday. That's $3 or $4 grand. The profits that I'm making from selling covered calls every week get rolled into STRC. As that balance swells, if there's an opportunity, I'll raid the piggy bank. Thank you, Rusted Woods, right? I'll raid that piggy bank and go buy some more shares of something while it's completely beat up. I think the last time I raided the STRC piggy bank, I bought 100 shares of IBIT when it was down there at like 46 to 48. So all I needed to sell was maybe 50 some odd shares because STRC was down also at the time. So sell like 55 shares of STRC and turn around and buy 100 shares of IBIT. And the STRC, that was just profits from selling cover calls against MicroStrategy. So I hope you're seeing a trend here, guys. I think I would liken it to this. I've got an all-time carry trade going. I'm selling futures and buying spot, selling futures and buying spot. It might be selling futures in Tesla and buying spot in MicroStrategy. It might be selling futures in MicroStrategy and buying spot of IBIT or STRC. It works. It just works. All right, guys. So like I said, it just works. Thanks for tuning in today. If you like this, smash that like button. Share it out with your friends and family. We're at 2,997 subscribers. Yes, this is a shameless plug, asking 3 people to subscribe and get us over that 3,000 person mark, right? Comment below. What did you like best? What did you learn today? What would you like to see more of? Make sure you book a course or you join our new community. Guys, the courses are on sale. By the time you see this, the courses are on sale. They're all 50% off and you get access for 365 days now. Not 60 days, 365 days. So 365-day access, half-price courses. The Black Friday sale is on. Is game on. I'll try to, by the time I make the video, I'll drop a link in here so that you know where the what those links are. I have them somewhere, but I forgot to include them in here. But courses are on sale. The community is also on sale. We have our founder sale going on. What do you get? You get all the stuff down the right-hand side that you see on here. That's it, gdinerocoaching.com/founders only. The community has grown from 0 to 110 members in just over 2 weeks. So there's a need for this. There's a need for a true coaching community where the focus is on learning. It's not on trade alerts. It's not on copy trading. The focus is on, learning. Learning technical analysis, learning TradingView inside and out to the point where you know that you can buy low and sell high. Learning options so that you know what a call and a put are. You know how to hedge your positions. You know how to make money appear on trees by selling puts and calls on a regular basis, which generates more capital so that you can go in and buy more assets when assets are beat up. So you can buy the dip so that you always have some capital on hand. You know when to do a leap. You'll know when to do a synthetic long. You'll understand what's going on in the crypto world. I do a lot of teaching there too and talk about the levels a whole lot more. Imagine this TA Tuesday, but you're getting it every single day essentially with the ability to ask questions that get answered rather quickly. I would love to hear some of the people that are in the community. Drop comments below and let me know, what do you think about it, guys, so far? How's it going so far? I'm confident that their answers are going to be pretty phenomenal, and thank each and every one of you for joining this community. Guys, I'm G Dinero. I'm here to help you increase your financial literacy, to help put you and your family on that path to financial freedom. I want nothing more than for you to feel what it feels like to be free. Financial freedom is the first part. Then you can just go live your life, and that's what it's all about for me, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Yo, G Dinero in the house. Charge up, let's go.
G Dinero, coach of the trade, stacking that green. T at Tuesday, money Monday, living the dream. Options popping, Bitcoin rocking, Tesla on fleet. Join the community.